So good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Donny Chaingang with me, Matt Payne. We're live in the Full Speed Events studio in the old beer cellars for the final time for a little while, because not long we'll be heading across some water and heading across to the old farmhouse studios in France for a slightly different look. Behind me, but of course it'll be the same rides. We've had some crackers this week with the Donny Chaingang, the Wild DCG, and the Chaingang tonight. Looks like it's going to be no different, and we've got a storming route. But before we go any further, I've got to say a massive thank you to Continental. We have got 5 pairs of some brand new tyres that are going to be given away next week. They are brand new launched. They're not launched to the public. The first people who will be getting them in the UK will be riders from the Donny Chaingang Supporters Club. So if you're not in it already, you need to do so for next week. You can find all the details where you're registered to join the ride if you're not a member already. If you're a member, don't worry, you're in that draw. 5 lucky members of the DCG gang going to be getting those tyres, and I'm really looking forward to our riders getting those. Now, we are going on to move on to our routes, and the routes, well, they are classics routes this week. We're into Innsbruck Climb After Party. We have a 40k in total ride, and that means that the riders have essentially one lap of the after party course. Now, to make this a little bit simpler, the explanation is it's 3 times Innsbruck Ring, which we did on Tuesday, plus the climb to the finish, which is at 37.4k. That is a total of 640 metres of elevation. And once we go out and away from Innsbruck Ring, we have the long climb up the mountain to finish at that Innsbruck Climb Arch, KOM or QOM, dependent on your avatar's gender. Now, we are going to be headed up by Russ, who is here, Fonzie Downing, in once again. And Russ will be leading our group round. He sets the pace. Everybody knows what to do. Surely, it's really simple. Make sure that you follow the instructions on that screen, and that will get you there on time and away to go. So Russ is going to be taking us out from the start line, and then we are going to be heading, of course, up on to the climb. Our red beacon, who's going to be keeping hold of everybody, it is Ian Bell. Now, the Green Gremlins have got hold of the jersey. It's clearly spreading its way out and through. And you can just see Ian there looking slightly muddier than hopefully he will be tonight. But he's our red beacon, a very experienced rider on and off road. And hopefully he's got the grit out of his teeth and ready for the climb. Now, when we talk about the climbing, let's show you the profile, because the profile is pretty key tonight. Let's jump from our Zwift Hacks map across to the Velo Viewer profile. As you can see, Tuesday's leg snapper, which is down on the bottom right-hand side, it's hardly worth thinking about. However, the big climb is, now let's put this into some kind of proportion, and again we're going to jump from our 3D screen to our 2D screen, and that gives you a real indication of what we've got. We've got the leg snapper 3 times, then we head out of town, we climb up to the roundabout at about 30k, and then head up on to the main climb. So our riders heading off from that start line, and hopefully they're all going to be heading out in the company of the one and only Russ Downing. Let's dive across on to the ride. And as we do so, time to introduce my co-commentator tonight, joined in the studio by Emma. Emma, welcome to the studio. Welcome to the Donny Chaingang.
Good evening. It's lovely to be here for the first time this week.
I know it's we've not had you on board for a little while. You've been busy elsewhere, but we are on a course that you know well.
Oh, I love the Innsbruck Ring. It's one of my favourite courses, and the fact that you've got the climb afterwards, you know, the after-party element tonight is a really good thing.
It is, isn't it? And it looks like most of the group coming out. We're going to try and keep an eye on these riders coming out. And this start is going to be key to the success of the Chaingang. Everybody staying around yellow as long as they can.
Yeah, it is indeed. And it is that thing, isn't it? You've got to stay around yellow because the whole point of enjoying this is actually to enjoy the Chaingang as it is. So that ride with the yellow beacon until the infamous timing of the event. I'm not going to say it because I always get told off for saying the words before it happens. So, you know, and this course today I think is going to make a great Donny Chaingang.
Yep, I do too. I think this is going to be really interesting to see how everybody rides this as they set off. We've got quite a few late joiners just jumping in with us, and you can just see a few people with a little bit of ground to make up here. Our red beacon already at work, and this is Ian Bale. Ian, of course, very experienced rider on the Chaingang, but a rider who we've had the pleasure of riding with and actually doing training sessions with. He's rather quick, isn't he?
Yeah, he's rather fast, and regularly see him through the winter months absolutely spattered in mud, and thoroughly enjoying himself in really atrocious conditions, really.
Well, let's see if that's sort of what we're going to get tonight. I hope not. I hope it's going to be nice and clear. It's a moonlight evening out there. Let's see whether or not it stays that way as the riders head out and onto the course. And just watching a few people joining. It looks like Ted Tunnicliffe. He's got a bit of ground to make up, and he's at least doing double the watts per kilo on the Chaingang, and that is key, isn't it? You need to be doing double the watts per kilo. You don't want to be more than about 20 seconds back on the group, otherwise you're not going to get there.
Yeah, and I can see John Dixon from Bolsover and District there. He's 23 seconds back. John, jump out, join the ride again.
Yeah. Going to be a lot easier, isn't it, to rejoin than try and chase, because the power of the pack is such it's going to move quickly.
Oh, the size of the group tonight, so 74 riders on the Chaingang tonight. If you've had a challenge on the start or you've joined late and it's not just dropped you into the middle, you know, if you are more than 20 seconds back now, the pace that group will move at, even though they're only doing around 2.5 watts per kilo, you really need to motor. It's going to be a sprint effort to get back on. And actually, that's what the late join is there for. The late join is there for these instances when you've just got a little challenge, you've come in late, or you've just got a problem on the start line, and drop out, come back in and join the event again, and you will land in that large group that the Yellow Beacon is currently right in the middle of.
Indeed, and I'm loving the comments from Russ. His legs are shot. He did a lot of work on Tuesday, pulling groups back. It's that kind of courses in Innsbruck Ring, and there was a really good breakaway. There was a whole load of action. Everybody's legs were dead, and that was kind of the same last night on the WOW DCG. We had a great WOW DCG with Daisy Freer, who's a regular on the Chaingang on the Tuesdays and Thursdays, riding and taking victory. She's only a youngster.
Oh, it was so good to see Daisy and watch Daisy take the win last night on the WOW DCG. You're right, she is a youngster, and she's a very brave youngster as well. I've seen her try and attack Jo Blackburn and go with her until she's blown on many occasions on the WOW DCG. So it was absolutely fabulous to see her really think about where she put her attack in, and she really thought about that last night. It wasn't a hang in the group and a stay in the group and a wait till you just pop out of the finish line. She really thought about where she was going to attack on that course, and it really paid off for her.
Indeed, and you can see the group rolling quite nicely today. We've got a lot of our regulars in. We've got one or two new riders in. Good to see that we've got Callum Craig back in now. Callum was riding strongly during the Chaingang on Tuesday, just got distanced and continued all the way into the finish. You can see a fair few people just having to watch what they're doing, because it is rolling at a right old pace tonight, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. You know, look at that. They are rolling, like I said, around 2 watts per kilo at the moment, but the pace is rolling at around 35 kph. So it is a large pack, and throughout most of this course tonight, you know, this course, other than the leg snapper, but I'm going to say that the leg snapper is fairly flat in comparison to the quam at the end. You know, it's a pretty much a fairly flat-ish 30k to start with here. And then it's a 7.4 kilometre climb, and I will admit that is quite a steep 7.4 kilometre climb coming at the end.
Yeah, it is. It's not just a consistent gradient. It looks like now we've got issues for Mr. Dixon or Mr. Bale with a dropout on the way through, so that's not good news.
Oh,
Looks
Ian.
having technical dropout issues, never good news, which means that we're going to have to do a little bit of a sneaky move here and drop ourselves back in with Mr. Raccoon. So it looks like our red beacon going to be dropping out and dropping back in again. Ian, if you're watching, you can drop out, drop back in again, even as a beacon. It will still work. You've got half an hour.
The late join works for a beacon too. We've had some challenges with a yellow beacon once on the WoW DCG, I remember, and our yellow beacon dropped out and then dropped straight back in, and it worked no problem. So drop out, Ian, and drop back in.
Yep, going to be interesting. Now, one of the things worth thinking about here today is our trigger point, that infamous 3 Gs and 3 Os. Because Russ has got a very sore set of legs after Tuesday. Now, does that mean if you were, because obviously you've done a lot of yellow beacon on the WoW DCG and you've been a red on the DCG, would you be pulling the pin early just to get rid of everybody and get them up the road?
Well, it's funny, isn't it? Because I've always found, even if I've started as a yellow beacon with tired legs, I've always had an extra dig and an extra commitment to make it hard for the riders. I might not have walked the day after, but I've always actually, once I've started, thought, oh, maybe I won't go long. Oh, maybe I'll... But, yeah, you could indeed go long. But, you know, it is going to be really interesting whatever our yellow beacon tonight chooses to do.
Well, let's see what he's going to do. Looks like that group is holding that together pretty well. Simon Choppin here, Andy Watson, that is Raccoon there. It's Andrew Keyworth, all rolling around. And I think we've got problems for our red beacon. He's having a few issues here.
But Ian is back in the group now. He's obviously dropped out and dropped back in. He is back in the group, and the red beacon is glowing over his head at the back of this group.
Excellent. And I'm just taking a little bit of a look at Tom Lindley, because Tom Lindley, one of our regular featured riders, he's changed his kit again. Gone for the pink level 40 kit there.
Okay, yeah, I can see that there.
Definitely. Well, certainly looking like he's got... he's going for a little bit of a disguise there. Meanwhile, Russ just jumping on the back now. Jake Speed is just off the back here. He's definitely a quick rider. He's one of our real fast riders, and may well be he's looking to just go help John Dixon on. John is closing in well here.
Yeah.
He might just roll on as we come into the leg snapper, which is a left, a right, and a right again.
Yeah, John, again, another strong rider who's regularly out on the cross scene in the region all winter, and I've done a number of cross-training sessions with John. Great rider, good, strong rider, and actually he's doing this really cleverly, actually. He's sitting just sub 4 watts per kilo, and he's been doing that since the start. He's not panicked, and he's just pushed on, and really good warm-up for John tonight.
Yeah, definitely. Now the group coming in towards the leg snapper climb, and the call coming from Russ to take it nice and easy as we go up on to the climb this time. Let's take it steady. Well, let's see if that's going to be the case as our riders roll around. They're going to take that right-hand turn. Yeah,
and this is so important here that all the riders do stay very, very close to that yellow beacon, because at the top of this climb, taking that right-hand bend, the longer this group is stretched, the more challenging it will be to bring it all back together, because that descent comes almost immediately. It's like you go from a gradient of 5% up to a gradient of 10% down in less than a second. And if this group is stretched and not close to the yellow beacon, what we're going to see is a really long snake and a difficulty bringing that group back together again.
Indeed, and the shout coming from Russ for the back to squeeze on up. It is very knife-edged up at the top. It's that's my favourite description for the course here. So you can see our riders making the way. It looks like Simon Warren just taking a little break. He's going to have to get back on really sharpish here because he's going to be in trouble. Otherwise, you can see him just pushing it up here. But the group needs to hold together. Any gaps in this, over the top, as you say, Emma, it's a tiny thin end of a very big wedge, and it is hammered home at speed over the edge because of that knife edge, that instant up and that instant down. So key here is not to let any gaps go. Sit on those wheels, don't push at the front, and make sure there are no gaps opening up anywhere in that group. Really, really important. You can see that the group on the front are just squeezing here, and it is starting to open a gap at the back. You can see Jamie Pearson here starting to be distanced, and this is why the front of the group needs to ease, because what you're going to find is that he's not going to get back on to the group once that pace goes. So Jamie giving it as big a squeeze as he can. He's about 2.5 watts per kilo. But if we take a look up here, this is what we talk about. Watch the gaps open up.
Yeah,
you're going to see this really move out now.
And that is now one very long snake on that downhill section. And Pearson's really going to have to push on here now if he wants to make the back of this group, because they will be motoring seriously fast on this downhill section.
And it's not because people are putting in the effort. The guys on the front are not putting a big effort in, but it's just about the pace that they've rolled over the top of the climb at just causes damage on the way through. So just going to take a little bit of a check through these riders, just doing Nick Murray here, who's just rolling around with that yellow beacon. And it looks like John Wild, he's having to chase Mr. Pearson, doing a great job. Well done, Jamie. He's going to get himself back on to this group. John Wild having to put the pressure down. John from Veloview, one of our really fast riders, but you can see how fast the group is going away from him.
Yeah, and it does. You know, there only needs to be a difference of 1 second between you and another rider at the top of that group, and that makes a real difference. You know, there is opportunity to bring this back. So once you get to the lower slopes of the downhill section and you move into the flatlands, you know, bringing a group back together is really easy to do. But this downhill does just change gradient so quickly that if you go around that right-hand corner at the top, 1-2 seconds of a gap, it just elongates it.
It does indeed. And you can see top right-hand side of your screens if you're watching. The top right-hand side, that group is in 3 groups in the main bunch. And then we've got John Wild chasing on at the moment. He's about 7 seconds back. And if I was John, I think I'd be jumping out and jumping back in again. Now, Chris Joseph Wilkinson just in front of Simon Booth. Booth just going over the side of Neil from the crosscast. That's going to take a little bit of a check. Neil here. Neil from Gritty, of course, one of our key supporters as well. We will take a look at Neil from an angle other than this, if we can get the cameras to run. There we go. So Neil in his traditional all-black Gritty kit coming off the back of that group, just having to squeeze a little bit to get back in with the pack. John Wild really is having to put a fight. You can see the numbers he's having to do just to stay with the group at the moment.
Yeah, he is. He's ticking along again, just under, well, between 3 and 4 watts per kilo. Now, it worked for Dixon. Dixon sat just sub 4 watts per kilo, and he closed down a 23-second gap off the start line. So Dixon made it back. I'm sure Wild, if he takes the same approach and the same strategy, will do the same as they transition through the flatter sections here.
Indeed, and you can just see Ian Bale just dropping back. You can see the watts per kilo coming off in. He's just dropping back to give John a little bit of a chance to go, give him some assistance on the way through. This is why being a red beacon is so hard, because you go back, you come up, you go back, you come up. It makes life tough, and John can now see that red beacon at the back of the pack here, just hanging off the back of the group. This red beacon is very difficult, isn't it? Because you might go back for one rider, and then you're goosed, because you put so much effort in, you can't help anybody else. And this is all about trying to get that group together, isn't it?
It's completely different to being yellow. When you're a yellow beacon, you know, you control the pace. You know, you control any ramp, you control when the bell gets released, you control everything, and you can manage that, and you can manage that pace. When you're red beacon, everybody else controls your effort, you know, and often your ride will be a very spiked ride until the latter stages, because exactly this, you're dropping back, you're pulling people back on, you're dropping back, you're pulling somebody else back on, and that gives a very different style of riding.
And you can see a lot of people going back there, regulars who go back and help. Simon Oxenden was really instrumental in pulling people back into the group Tuesday. Wayne Barr, another of our regulars, going back. Dale Williams helping out at the back there. It's the regular faces. They're the people who know how to ride, and they've got so much time and respect for the people who are not necessarily red beacons, but they're the guys who are going back feeling like, do you know what, we're going to help. this is part of our workout.
Yeah, and that is all part of the Donny Chaingang, isn't it? You know, the fact that people put a long tail off the back of a group to tow people back on and give them those breadcrumbs to actually help them with the draft to close those gaps and to bring back on. Because often, 9 times out of 10, it's due to the fact that someone's had a technical issue or they've dropped a water bottle or something has happened this early in a ride that creates that gap, and then you've got to work to get back on. And when the group spread out and when the group spread back and create a lovely long sort of comet's tail for you, it's that comet's tail that brings you back in.
Definitely. Now, just seeing Gary Patterson, I think that's going to be a tech issue for Gary. He's doing nearly 9 watts per kilo, but we just saw him spinning up there, going nowhere fast. So hopefully he's going to be able to kick him back in again. And that was a classic tech issue there. Gary's dropped right down, but now absolutely rocketing his way up. And it means that the riders on the back now know that they've got Gary just sprinting his way in and through here. He's got to get back on that group pretty quickly. And it looks like he's going to do that. And he's one of the options, isn't it? Just put in a proper full-on sprint effort.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, we saw 9.9 watts per kilo there, and that indeed does push and does create that momentum to make the catch.
Right, so the group looking good. Just picking the tail back up again. And just seeing plenty of riders in here. A few people dropping the steamrollers down to get rid of them on the way through here. There is a benefit actually to dropping them on the cobbles, isn't there? It does make it a little bit easier.
It does make it a little bit easier, and that is the main section on this route where you could actually utilise a steamroller. But the thing is, you do need to get rid of it because you do want a different power up on this course, and obviously keeping hold of a power up you don't want is not what you want to do.
And just taking a check on the riders at the moment. It looks like pretty much everybody together at the moment. And they've got to keep the pace on, keep the pressure on. Looks like the riders are just rolling in and through at the moment. They've ed to keep that pace and keep that modulation there. Looks like our glued there. Our Full Speed Events mystery rider. It's like the masked singer, isn't it, really? Our mystery rider on the Full Speed Events.
It is. We've got a mystery rider on the FSC avatar tonight.
Yeah, indeed. So it looks like Ian Bale quickly holding the gang in. So our mystery rider not washing their hair tonight.
No, not.
No, not in a waterfall either. Those people who've worked it out, good luck. Some people will know that. Right, looks like everybody good. Everybody chatting away. It's rolling along at the moment. The pack all together. Not going crazy. Taylor just tucked on the back at the moment. Dale Williams in there as well.
And it's interesting, isn't it? Look how fast this group are rolling. The group are rolling through around 41 kph at the moment. Those riders at the back of that group are sat at around 1.9, 1.7 watts per kilo. You know, nice and steady pace, but actually indicating how less effort it is to sit in the middle or to the back of such a large group.
Definitely. So the riders on the way through, just watching Dale Williams, Mr. 5311 himself, could well be using that on the early stages, but not on the later stages. So we're through the first of 3 laps of Innsbruck Ring. So we do 3 laps of Innsbruck Ring, then we go on to the climb proper itself. And the question is, are they going to be letting this go? Really interesting to see. Neil saying, Andy, just... Woodrin, are you the man I used to ride with in the Wymeswald Wheels? I didn't know Wymeswald was big enough to have its own cycling club. It's a tiny little village. Right, let's have a little bit of a look down here. Looks like Wine in here. Finley Hudson tucked in as well. Tom Linley, Darren Topless in here. Let's have a little run through. John Garfer in here. Looks like Mr. Bailey, Richie Woodall, Nick McDermott in here. Looks like Greg Booker is in here. Booker should know who our mystery rider is.
Yeah, I bet Booker's not ridden with our mystery rider for a very long time.
Indeed not.
But they did indeed spend a lot of time riding together once.
Once upon a time, a long time ago, where the trees were 100 feet tall and the sun shone all day long. Oh no, we're not reading Mr. Happy to the kids anymore, are we? That's how long ago it must have been. Right. Anyway, my best Jack Norrie voice doesn't need to come out to play tonight because we're on the Chaingang. And the Chaingang's a lovely place to be. We all know that everybody's going to have fun until the trigger. Right, anyway, should we resume commentary duty?
Yeah.
Let's have a look. Chloe's a bit over-egging it, more like a group of cats cheaters, really. Yeah, that's an interesting way of putting it. Ooh, let's have a little bit of a look. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, little gap opening up at the front. What's going on there? What's Mr. Small doing riding away on the front? Not like him. Meanwhile, you can just see the group at the back just stretched out a little bit here. Don't let those wheels go. Don't let the gap open up.
Yeah, and that's it, isn't it? You've really got to be keen not to let that gap open up. You've got to shift on.
And you need to shift on here because if you run on here, if you lose the wheel here, you're going to be in trouble coming in to the climb unless you've got some serious climbing legs on.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's absolutely imperative that you stay in that group, and it's that group that is going to be the one that starts rolling fast again.
Well, I'm loving the side chat about the Wineswell Wheelers. Fast but undisciplined.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because Wineswell doesn't seem very big, but a lot of cyclists, obviously.
Well, clearly enough to make a mini club or a group of cats. So, looks like Wayne just about to squeeze back into the group. Russ rolling round the back of the group once again. What's Russ doing at 1.6 watts per kilo?
Taking a nice small rest and a breather.
Yeah, just a bit. I love the fact that people are identifying with the Wineswell Wheelers. Sounds like my lot, a surprisingly fast shambles. That's brilliant.
Do they ride to the pub and back for a pint?
Do you know, I'm desperately want to go for a bike ride with Gareth Mason because it's going to be a hoot. It's got to be. It's one of the funniest people I know. It's brilliant.
I'm sure it can be arranged.
Yeah, can we do it somewhere where we have lots of cafe stops and coffee stops and not much sprinting because he's going to give us a right old kicking. I love the fact Russ saying it's not that hard to ride together because he's out the back. Timing is everything when the messages appear. That's one of the things, isn't it, being yellow people don't realise. You can type the message and send it, and then it appears like 5-10 seconds later, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, and also, as you've got your head down typing the message, you know, if you've made a spelling mistake or you've done something wrong or you've written something wrong and you're trying to delete it and trying to start again, you know, then you look up and the group's gone. Cookie keeps saying to me, do you not use voice-activated software? I'm like, no.
No. Did you just see that quote from Mason there?
What?
Brilliant. So the message from Gareth Mason went, one of my guys was on time on Sunday by being 15 minutes late for a time that was 15 minutes too early. Brilliant. Love it. Love it. Russ saying he's in control. He's got control of this. It's fine. Good. I'm glad you are, Russ, because we rarely think anybody's really in control.
Russ is always in control. He's Yellow Beacon. He knows exactly what he's doing, when he's doing it, and he has a plan.
I hope so. Wineswell had a
It's a
jersey.
jersey.
Said you know your own way home. Nice. Pirate rules then. Right, on to the climb. Dale Williams, he stops at the side of the road. Or is it Mr. Lindley? No, it's Dale. Dale, are you just having a quick comfort break? It's not like you.
I'm liking his jersey.
Have you not seen Dale's jersey?
No, that
The
is
donut
seriously
jersey.
good. Look at that.
This is the jersey. I know.
Oh, I like that. How on earth did he get that one?
I don't know. Dale, if you're listening, tell us how you got your jersey after you've got up the climb. Dale is wearing the donut jersey. I actually had a bike change.
Ooh.
Interesting. Tell us more. So Dale is in the donut jersey. My daughter can draw those very well. In fact, I have a screensaver that's much like this. 3D.
You do?
Yeah. Good artist, my daughter. Much better artist than me. And any comments about words that end in hiss and sound like hiss as an artist are definitely not approved for everybody. Donuts best fuel, yes. And if anybody makes a really nice gluten-free donut, let me know, because it's one of the things I really miss. That and chocolate eclairs.
Chocolate eclairs?
Yeah, with the cream in the middle.
I haven't told you that making gluten-free choux pastries are actually really easy.
You have, but you've refused to do it
But
for
I
me.
haven't done it.
Yeah, thanks. Right, Ian Bale, just waiting for Ken Kerrigan. Ken just at the back, out of the saddle here, kicking on in the Atticus kick. Good to have Ken back in with us. A regroup required. Russ, I think must have that on cut and paste as you go up and over the top here. Seen new PRs coming from lots of our riders coming through.
I'm very sorry, but I did have to second listen there when you said Ken Kerrigan. I thought you said Cake Kerrigan. I had too much WoW DCG watching yesterday. So I apologise, Ken, for saying that, but that was what I thought Matt said.
Ken, I'll tell you something, Ken and Kate don't go together very often, it looks like it. All right. Oh, apologies for the late join, it's AD, not Izzy. I added the wrong right to the account. Love it. That's okay, that's fine. 80, it's worked, sort of, kind of. We're going to have a little look. So in the sprint, yeah, looks like it is going to just be the one jersey in there at the moment. We're just watching this group. There are some gaps opened up here, and people need to squeeze or they're going to get in trouble. They're going to lose people. Look at this. You got another group off here, so there are lots of groups gone on the back here. We have got massive, massive, massive things.
Yeah, Madeleines, not donuts.
Yeah, he ate Madeleines the entire time. Right, okay. Kerrigan, distance. Bale, distance. And that's going to be, I don't know who Steve, Clarion Steve, distanced. Mr. Tunnicliffe, distanced. Looks like old Shampoo ahead, distanced. Looks like Dave Robertson, distance. Nick Rudkin in trouble. Simon Booth, distance. Keith Richards, distance. We've got some big old gaps opened up here, and looks like a number of riders off the back. We've got a long gap from here to the front, 26 seconds plus now. That's a big gap opened up.
Yeah, and I think our red bus is about to start to form as we got a difference of opinion here in the...
I think after that message from Ken saying just go for it, mate. Rowan Dubash is planning on coming back. Now, Rowan is on his way back. He's also on flaky internet connection tonight. He's hotspotting off a mobile phone to go back. So I think we're going to see a few people dropping back just to give a bit of a hand on the way through. Dave Robertson, Ted Tunnicliffe, Clarion Steve, Ian Bale. If the bus forms, I suspect it's going to be a little group a little bit further back. Meanwhile, the chase is on. Mr. Booth just about to make contact, but there's still plenty of riders off the back of this pack getting caught out.
Yeah, and they continue to need to push. Our hidden avatar that's actually riding this evening is one of those riders about to squeeze onto that group. He's going to need to work his legs a bit there to close that down, but been sitting at around 4.5 watts per kilo to close that gap down, and he's going to be the next rider, I think, possibly to make that juncture.
I'm loving the fact that Ken's saying, no, go on, and Rose saying, no, I'm coming back.
I insist.
Brilliant. Do you know what? I love the gang. It's the chat on the gang is just, you know, if you had like a really hard day, just like, oh, I don't know. I had a really hard day, and then you get this sort of, you know, this non-stop chat on the way through. Oh, so Dr. D's going backwards. Looks like the avatar making its way up there, yo-yoing its way around. Yeah,
he's got a little bit more work to do to actually get into that group, but absolutely now just coming back on to the group now.
So Chris James from Ilkson just distanced a little bit. Dr. D going backwards. Looks like Ted just chasing his way on. Dave Robertson here. Looks like Clarion Steve trying to motor on here. Guys, hate to say this, you need to get a group together here, because this, I think, is got the makings of a good bus here. Dr. D, Dave Robertson, Clarion Steve, Ian Bale, and Ken Kerrigan, actually. I think there's a whole group there. You might be right, Emma.
Well,
put it in your diary.
Matt, just put that in the diary. Matt has just told me that I might have been right. That is a massive moment. If we remove the word might from that, it could be a first time ever.
Yeah, I know it rarely happens, you're right, believe me. Right, let's get back to the group at the front, heading for the line once again. Okay. Looks like the gang in here. Just watching Mr. Lindley as come through. What I like is the fact that if you leave the avatar on Tom Lindley, he gets nervous.
Does he?
Yeah, you get nervous yet, Tom?
Oh, that's a bit nasty.
I know.
I don't know how on earth or why he would get nervous. He's, a cracking rider.
He felt like he'd been watched too long, but that's only because I left the avatar on him for about 5 minutes on Tuesday night.
Oh.
Just take it as flattery, mate. Honestly. So it looks like red bus on its way through with Ken Kerrigan on. So ding ding, all aboard. The bus is on its way out. The group back together again, rolling round.
Oh, look at that. I like the little swerve there that one of those avatars just did.
That was Simon Booth.
That was like avoiding a pothole in the road.
How amazing is it? I know that. That's Simon Booth. Simon's avatar is always the same. I like Simon. Simon doesn't go changing his jersey. Simon's jersey has been the same since I can't remember when. It's the St. Kitts Cycling Club jersey.
St. Kitts. Oh, very good.
It is. It's St. Kitts Cycling Club. And you can see stkit.com.au from Australia.
Yeah.
It's St. Kitts Club. Simon, one of our regulars on the gang. He's been on the gang since before I can remember when. Don't know if Simon was riding during the testing period, the beta phase of the testing. Sounds really posh. We had a few mates riding around on Donny cycling to camera. It's great. During that testing phase, might well have been. Okay. Oh, the bus is on. Beer or lager. There we go.
That.
And do you know the irony of this? That we have 2 bus drivers here. Because
it's true, isn't it?
Yeah, Ken is a bus driver by profession.
In real life.
In outside in the world, and today he's being driven. Instead, he's being driven by Ian Bell, who's our current bus driver.
Yeah.
How good's that?
That's quite a nice little moment, isn't it?
You have a little moment about that.
Oh, I just think that's really nice.
I do. Oh, yeah, the drinks are floating. They're trying to emulate the cake and drinks.
They'll be talking snacks next.
Careful. So it looks like Chris James and Dr. D heading back for Mr. Bale and Kerrigan. And associated riders, Clarence Steve as well. Step away from the city, KK. Right, back to the serious stuff up at the front. It's serious, honest. Well, is it? And what I think is interesting is that we haven't had any sign of a trigger yet, because we are already through twice through the line. We've done 2 laps. We've only got 1 more lap to go. Then we're on to the climb.
Well, yeah, that's it, isn't it? Because we are coming up for 20 kilometres now of this Donny Chaingang, and it's a 37.2 kilometre course in total to that King of the Mountains banner at the top of that climb where we're going to finish tonight. So well and truly coming up towards, I suppose, a watch out moment.
Oh, not yet. Not yet. 9 minutes. Russ, just because you're not having to do any work, Russ is just having a nice, easy ride out, honest.
Nothing wrong with that.
Do you know what it'd be? It'd be because Norm's kept him awake here. Is Norm keeping you awake, Russ? Is that what it is? He's a bit of a monster now. Norm's out and about, moving about. He's making Russ do loads. I saw Russ with a rucksack on, with Norm in the back. I think it was actually a baby carrier, you know, the ones he walked with. But it didn't half look like he just stuffed him in the rucksack and Norm was just looking over the top of it. Looked very cool. Right. So Russ running his way up here on the Donny Chaingang. It is the Thursday Chaingang here on the Donny Chaingang. Coming out to you live from the Full Speed Events studios. Russ from Down in Cycling, Bike Flex and assorted other companies, including Coffee Company. Coffee Machine Company is, of course, our yellow beacon sat in the middle. Russ's heart rate missing in action again tonight, interestingly. We'll see how it goes on. Good to see we've got Simon Warren on here. Simon has actually climbed the Alpe d'Huez in what was our turbo room once upon a time. About
Yes, indeed.
5 years ago, I think.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah, I take the credit for that. He did a test to see what it was like riding up that versus the real deal. He said it was very, very realistic. Although he was fast, he had a very fast time on. He, of course, always goes quicker when he's got no beard. But he's keeping himself warm now. He moved up north. Right, going. Blob forming at the front. Oh. What's going on? We've got some people squeezing at the front. What's that all about? Who's getting carried away on the front again? Come on, ladies and gentlemen. Get off the front. Get that pedalling sorted out. Oh, good to see Bobby Mason tucked in here. Looks like Callum Craig in there. Mr. Roll it in there. Zach Hutchinson. Touching the group, Simon Oxenham after doing that work on the back in there. Gary Patterson, Nick McDermott, Keith Richards, Mr. Main, as well as Hawkins in there. Jim Flynn tucked in, Mr. Murray as well. Good to see Nick in here from the V6R Racing, making the way in and along. Interesting that people are dropping steamrollers now. Drop it on the cobbles. Drop it when you hit the cobble. It does work on there, it does make a difference.
Yeah, because, where are you going to be able otherwise to drop it and actually make use of it? And it is only on those cobbles, isn't it, on this course?
Yep. Sad, isn't it? I can remember the road surfaces all the way around. So the group heading in to the leg snapper once again. We're at 21.8k. But the distance is not really all that selling, because remember, we're going to be going all the way up to the top of the KOM, and the distance is deceptive because, of course, we've got that big climb coming up. Remember, of course, at the moment, the aim of the game, the whole purpose is to stay around yellow. Once we get up to the point of no return, the trigger pulling, pin throwing, plunger pushing moment, that is when all rules are off. There's no holds bars. Biting, gouging and headbutting is allowed.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that.
Well, if you want to listen, how else are you going to chew on the stem but do biting stuff? That's how it works.
That's true, isn't it?
Bang your heads against a brick wall and, shoulder barge when you fall off the rollers because your front tyre blows out.
Well, that would only happen to you, wouldn't it?
I'm not the only person to come crashing off a set of rollers.
No, that's true.
It was, and I was absolutely gutted because I was an hour into an event and I was really enjoying it as well. It's motoring, going really well. I was gutted.
Obviously, someone somewhere thought you needed to stop.
The great God who had sliced my sidewalls apart when I was out on a ride. At least it went on the rollers, not going down to like 50 miles an hour.
Well, that's true, isn't it?
Right, onto the climb. Here we go. It is an 8% section. We're on to leg snapper, and this is where the group should know what they're doing. This is getting squeezed. It is. Mr. Dowdleash is on here. AD is in.
Yeah, we are less than 15 kilometres to the finish now. I think there's a lot of nervous energy in that pack at the moment.
I'm loving the fact Russell's going, did I miss something? No, they're all just panicking, mate. In the words of Jimmy Allen, don't panic. It's not worth it. You're starting to see the numbers stick up. There's people having to push hard on the back here. Greg Booker just pushing his way into that group there. Doesn't want to be distanced. I think Bobby Mason's group are going to be in trouble here. Richie Woodall, Keith Richards in AD Dalgleish, and then Nick Rudkin's going to be in trouble on the way up here. They're going to have to move. That gap is going to open, and as it does so, they're going to be in big, big trouble. Watch this gap now as these riders go over the top. Look how fast it opens up behind Bobby. He's just about got on board, but you look at the distance, how fast that is going to open.
Dalgleish is kicking at 11 watts per kilo to close that gap. That tells you how fast he needs to go to close it. Look at that sprint coming out there to push onto the back of that group. Absolutely digging down.
I should think so. He's on He's on Isabella's avatar. He probably weighs about 50 kilos, and I think AD's a little bit more than that. So take those numbers with a pinch of salt.
Oh, might well have changed his weight, you know.
He might have done, but this is a long sprint. Otherwise, it's going to be absolutely flying tonight. Right, let's take a little bit of a look here. So it looks like the gaps are certainly forming. The where you are, says Russ. The splits are happening, and you can just see the pressure really is on to stay in with that yellow beacon here. Sitting in with this group is going to be key, and just trying to take a little bit of a run up to the avatar of Mr. Russ Downing, the one and only Mr. Downing. We'll get Russ in this camera shot. There we go.
Yay.
Downey's
I'm loving the avatars popping up and disappearing and then popping back up again. You know, utilising a ghost on a chase is a giggle.
Well, yeah, apart from the fact that if you wanted to jump on them to chase back on again, you're a bit stuffed, aren't you? Because you don't know when they're gone.
Yeah, but you've got to get rid of that ghost before you get to this sprint banner. So,
I don't know about that.
Well, I'm not quite sure why you would want to keep a ghost on the event today.
So that you can ghost away up the climb and put an attack in on the climb.
I'd much rather get a feather.
Yeah, don't know. Depends how competitive you are. You might not need the feather, but you might just need to gap somebody. That might be all you need. And if you're going to gap somebody, you better to do it with the ghost. So otherwise, everybody's going to push. Mr. Mason, good luck, guys. That's him. He's taking it easy. Mr. Mason, go head for the bus. Keep them entertained with jokes about dodgy cyclists on
partake in the beer.
the hill. Yeah, jump in. Go grab a whatever takes your fancy. Right, Richie Woodall's going to make this. I think Mr. Bailey probably not. John Dixon distance, maybe paying the price for that chase. Forrester, Tunnicliffe, James, Rockliffe, Richard, Steve, Bobby Mason. Guys, get yourselves grouped together. The squeeze is on. The pace is getting hot. The riders are, and the go has gone. Go has gone. It's gone before we've hit the line. This is where the kick has come, and now let's see who can stay in with this group. The kick has gone early, and this is going to get very interesting indeed. If we take our camera up and watch behind this group, behind this pack, we'll try and get as many riders in the screen as we can in one go. This is about pushing on. Now, really interesting. They're going to go down. So, Mr. Douglas said I called that exactly right there.
But look at the stretch on that group, Matt. It was a tight group coming up and coming down, and now look at it. It's a real stretch on that group, and that call has really paid its toll on the back of the group now.
It has indeed, and I'll tell you something. This is really interesting to see. Finley Hudson's doing a great job of staying. He's one of our lighter riders, and when that power goes down, it's the lighter riders who generally pay the... So I'm loving the fact that AD Douglas, AD also known as Isabel, so thought I'd give someone a chance to strap back on. Yeah, too right, mate. Well, no, thank you very much. It's really nice. You know, it's really good.
It was, you know, an attempt at a great 5-minute power there, sitting at around 9.9 watts per kilo.
I'll tell you what, the training, if Isabel's on training peaks, it's going to absolutely blow numbers out of the water. It's going to be really mean. Right now, come on, Carl, get on those wheels, mate. Carl Johnson, one of our regulars on the gang. He's got Paul Mallin, Darren Topley, Steve Cannon, Callum Craig behind him. Booker is in this pack. We're just going to try and take a little bit of a look back. So Booker is in here. Booker riding in the Training Peaks jersey here. So the go has gone. We are on the flatlands before we get to the climb. This group is just about holding together. I'll tell you something. That kick was pretty ferocious and looks like it's been continued onwards here. We're just seeing the power go up at the front again. Somebody has gone on there and he's hammering it. It's Simon Oxenham. He's gone for an aero. Look at this. Oxenham's gone early. This is going to do some damage to some legs before they get onto the climb.
Well,
here.
let's be honest. Who wants to take all those riders into the bottom of the climb? Let's see some action before we start.
Well, that could do a lot of damage, couldn't it? It's going to be really interesting. If they can shed some of these climbers, the climbers are then going to have to come back on the way through. But I think Simon needed somebody to go with him. At the moment, Jake Speed is closing him down. And Jake, a very quick rider, dragging this bunch back up to them. Sitting in the pack now is going to be key. So over the top of Jake goes Rollitt. So Rollitt comes in and through. So Thomas Rollitt going over the top. He's look at this attack after attack. The rider's coming through. Now Speed has got to go again. Is Speed going to go? Speed has sped off into the distance. Anyone waiting for the climb? Good luck. Yeah, for sure. I'm loving it. Don't bother waiting for the climb. Go early, go hard. Come on, Speedy. Do you know what? If we weren't going to get hammered by Facebook and YouTube for using rights protection videos, we need Speedy Gonzalez on here.
We do.
It's a tune.
I think I can actually find that. But take a look at that. That is one big kick off the front, and this pack are moving, but the pack are moving fast altogether still on that chase, and it's 8 seconds at the moment in front of that group, and that's not a big gap, Matt, going into this climb.
It's not, but this is Jake Speed, and Speed is a good climber. He's a youngster. He's riding for the Cycling Academy, mentored by Jimmy Mack. Of course, Jimmy, one of our former national champions, regular on the gang. He's gone and teaches his riders, I think, to give it some.
Well,
he's doing a great job at the moment. He's got 10 seconds. But I'll tell you something here, Emma. What I'm liking is the fact that people haven't panicked here, and they are measuring their effort, because the moment this hits a gradient, it is going to go.
Yeah, it is indeed, and you are quite right. This group are still all together, and there's a large number of people in this group, and you can see the damage it's done to the riders behind, and we have had riders drop off this group, and it has slowly been whittling down. But still a really strong pace on the front of this group.
It's going very quick indeed. Russ just goes up on to the top. Russ wants to pull this out here. He's going to try and close down Speed. And there's been people taking turns on the front, but they're going to need to work together, because Russ could ride off here. Come on, Russ, right to the top.
I thought Russ was telling us he was tired at the front of this.
He was. This is his
it's
last
the power
hurrah.
of the yellow.
Do you know what it is? It's gamesmanship. He doesn't ever bullshit anybody, but he does know how to play the game. That is for sure.
Well, there is something about yellow in terms of making the moves on the front and actually trying to create some dynamic in the group. But it also gives you wings, you know, that yellow beacon.
It does, and Russ has been tempted out here. He's pushing on. This group is in trouble here. There's a few riders distance here. Keyworth has gone, Garfort's gone, Forbes gone. What looks like somebody's going to be washing their hair if they're not careful. It's Mick Clark's gone off the back as well. Chris Ball in trouble now. Booth is on to the climb. We've seen people trying to rip this up. They've not been able to break it clear. They're still chasing Speed, who has gone up the road. He's one of the youngsters on the Cycling Academy. He has got distance here, 14 seconds, and he's on to the climb proper.
Yeah, he is indeed, and you can see that group behind him, 14 seconds now, the gap to Speed as Speed pushes on the climb. He's gone over that red dotted line on the road. It is underway, the climb.
It is indeed. Now, Simon Warren of 100 Climbs fame. Do you know he's written a book or two?
About climbing?
Yeah. Yeah, hundreds of them, in fact. On the way up now, Russ saying, see you later, kids. Yeah, well, I think, to be honest, you're going to have to watch out for some of our really young riders and some of our older riders. People like John Wilde can climb really well. Could be one of those riders up there. Finley Hudson is in here. He's one of our really quick youngsters. You've got riders like Speed up on the front. 12 seconds that gap. It's not going away. If anything's coming down, Zach Hutchinson, is Zach going to have his day here today on the Chaingang? Roller is helping to pull this in. They are at 10 seconds, and there is all kinds of pain behind them. The gaps have really opened up, but this is the chasing group that is on its way up here. They've got Speed in front. They're going to come in, and I think they'll have him back at that right-hand hairpin bend. There you go. There's the commentator's prediction for you.
Oh, there is indeed. And do you know what? It's coming down, but it's coming down so slowly. You know, it is still at 10 seconds out to second, third, fourth, and then it's around 12, 13 seconds out further back than that. So it's all of the riders now starting to spread out and ride their own climb.
They are indeed, and these riders are really starting to feel the pressure here. Greg Pillsworth's legs have gone. I think he's just found they're disappearing off down the road. There we go. So Greg's legs have gone. He's popped. He's out of the back. Neil from Gritty with the group there. Richie Woodall Jamie Pearson in with him. Liam Calloway not all that far behind, so is Goodwin. Booth, Samuel, Potts, McDermott. Looks like Martin in there. Chris Ball in there. Morn is in there. Looks like Shampoo Shin's on his way up there as well. Hairy leg monster himself. As we make our way up towards the front of the group. Now, John Wild tucked in here with Tom Lindley and Harry Hudson. So we've got somebody who's definitely not in their 40s, 30s, 20s, teens, in with some of our very fast riders who are much younger in the shape of Speed, Hudson, Lindley. Booker's not exactly old either, is he?
No.
But he's definitely not a teenager anymore.
No, mid-20s.
Mid-20s. Is it going to be Mr. Booker's day, riding on strongly here?
Well, I tell you what, Speed is time trialling his way now. He's set into a comfortable pace, you know, now, Matt. And he's sitting around 5.5 watts per kilo, and he is just tapping his own ride up that climb. He's now at 16 seconds, you know. So whilst everybody else is wondering what to do behind him, he is riding a really good ride.
He is indeed, and I mean, bear in mind people like Greg Booker. I mean, you know, we're talking regular hill climb winner and some real monument wins on the way through. Russ, for all he protests that he can't climb, can.
You've got both of them have won the Monsell Hill climb.
Yeah, exactly, and they're quick uphill. They're no slouches, and this climb, because it's quite steppy, it's not a constant gradient. I think this could suit the guys who are going to be able to sit and power over those slightly steeper sections. But they've got to be aware of what Speed's doing. He's sat at a pace and motoring along, and it's not dropping at the moment, and they're going to need to keep that pace high. They can't attack each other. They'll be in trouble, and I think Finley Hudson has decided he's got to start to wind this up a little bit here, because he is the rider who is on the chase now, and he's using this steep section of the climb to get across. Good move. Smart riding by Finley.
Yeah, utilising the bits of the tarmac that are to his benefit and playing to his strengths is Hudson at the moment there, pushing on and just bringing, actually, that gap to Speed down a bit.
It is indeed. Speed now responding, because he's gone on to the faster, flatter section, taking the right-hand turn into the left, but there is still plenty more up steps to go. Finley and Harry Hudson are the 2 and 3 at the moment. Then it's Wild. David Cass nicely in this group. I tell you something, David Cass has improved week on week, and he's a really class rider, and right in the mix again. You got Rush, you got Zach Hutchinson, Dale Williams, Simon Oxon, and Wayne Barr. We've got Nick Murray in there as well. And it really is a who's who at the front of this ride at the moment. And Rush just using some more power to get across that gap and get up to this chasing group. But Speed at the moment, Speed by name and Speed by nature, he's got the gap.
Yeah, he has indeed, hasn't he? And
he
that
likes
gap,
the mountaintop finish.
well, you know, 27 seconds now back. So the steepness of that climb really foreshortening the distance between Speed and Hudson. And whilst Hudson pushed on, then Speed responded. And wow, now 32 seconds. I'm looking at that, Matt, thinking, is this all over? Or actually, the fact that we've still got 5.2 kilometres to get to the top, can this all change?
Well, it could, but Speed would have to blow his rocks off, to be honest.
Which I don't think is going to happen.
No, he knows what he's doing inside out. He knows what pace he needs to ride at. He's a regular rider on the Chaingang. He's been really, really quick on Zwift. He's a rider who knows his stuff, and is certainly looking very strongly, and he's got wins on the climbs on the DCG on mountaintop finishes as well. So the rest of the riders may well just let him go and just think about what they're going to do between themselves, because we're still seeing people get distance. Cass now at 6 seconds to Booker. Let's take a look. Morris at 7 seconds further back, then 6 seconds back after that is Williams, then it's Wayne Barr on the wheel of Williams with Simon Oxton on here. So this triumvirate of talent, quite a great Hugh Porterism on his way up here. No snugger in the back, please. Tom Rollitt on his way through. Will he have wings on his wheels? Then it is going to be Simon Warren. It's going to be mano a mano between Rollitt and Warren. You got house yet? Porter bingo. We're on it. Then it's going to be Osmond, followed by Taylor. Then it's going to be Neil from the Crosscast. Then it's going to be Greg Pilsworth. Then it's going to be Booth, Tunnicliffe, Calloway, Goodwin, Pearson, Woodall, Potts, Wilson, Martin, Ball, Samul, Espeo, Shampoo, Shins. Then it's going to be Sharp, Garfoot, Dalgleish. Then it's going to be Neil Morn on his way up here, Clark, Main and Co. Continuing to push. That you can see these riders really trying to get back up to our leader. They've got their work cut out because Jake Speed at the moment, he's got that gap, he's got that distance. It's still sitting at half a minute, but we've got a long, relatively straight run to the finish now.
Yeah, we have indeed, and the gradient's going to make a bit of a difference here because the steeper sections will benefit a lone rider. Once the gradient gets down to around 3 or 4%, it is actually draftable, and it will make a difference if there's a small group doing some chasing.
So let's have a little bit of a look back at that group. It is Zach Hutchinson who's got the group behind him. Harry Hudson, John Wild, looks like Tom Lindley, Greg Booker, Finley Hudson in a little bit of trouble further back. He's got Downing for company. Then it's Nick Murray, David Cass, Wayne Barr, Simon Oxham and Dale Williams. They're all within 30 seconds of Hutchinson here. But the group he has, it's the man in white, that's Hutchinson. Then the man in black, that is going to be Harry Hudson. John Wild in the green, Bucket in the blue. Then it's going to be Lindley in the pink. Then it's going to be Finley Hudson with Russ Downing here. So Finley trying to tow Russ back in, I think, here. Doing a great job just out of the saddle, just kicking on here. Russ knows how to follow a wheel. Just going to try and stay in with him as they come up this section. Then it's going to be Nick Murray and Wayne Barr with Dale Williams still continuing to push here, but he's got Bart with him. Oxenham just shadowing them. The shadow in black just behind. Then it's Cass at 6 seconds. Then it's Rollitt. Rollitt was pushing on in the early part of this climb, as was Simon Warren. Well, Warren should know how to pace a climb. And at the moment, just struggling. It's 27 seconds on Tunnicliffe and Neil from Gritty there. The riders continuing to stretch out here, but the leader is Speed, taking the 10% section. Looking good at the moment, Emma, and certainly keeping those revs nice and high as well.
Yeah, it is indeed keeping those revs high and the watts steady, and it's keeping those watts steady that is doing the damage here to the group behind. But this is yo-yoing a little bit, you know, Matt. It was out over 30 seconds not very long ago. It's back down to 26. It's really interesting to see what the group behind are doing and how they're responding as we move up into the latter stages of this climb. I mean, we're at 10% at the moment. This is a really steep section that Speed is on. The gradient now starting to slowly come down, sitting at around 7%, 6% at the moment. So different gradients and getting some real respite at the moment. Speed, the gradient's down to 3% here. So you can see this flatter section giving a little bit of respite on this climb, but we're going to see gradients kick over 10% again.
So this is the section to either recover or to push on, because if you are not one of the pure climbers, this is that long flat section. You see him coming in on the profile, actually just on the base of the map, and looking like he's going to be able to wind up at 45 seconds back, and this group are across that lane.
And it is amazing, isn't it, how quickly that time gap can go out. We were talking 26 seconds not that long ago, now out to 52. So really different riding going on here and having real impact across this course. Hutchinson's doing a great ride here. Absolutely continuing to be on the front of this group, and I'm really loving Hutchinson's leading this group out. Hudson's leading Russ Downing out.
Yeah, it's the youngsters doing a great job, but dragging these groups along at the moment, and they're all chasing Speed. Speed's pace has come, it keeps dropping a little bit more now, so just taking a bit of recovery. He's got the sliding room to do that, given where he is on this climb, but let's see what he does. I think just going to do a little bit of recovery. It's a long way to the top of this climb, and now it looks like Russ just on the front with Hudson taking some shelter on here. I love the fact that Russ saying, yeah, he's killing me more, like.
That's what youngsters do eventually, isn't it? You know, you'll always remember the day when you could no longer stay with the youngster.
Yeah, definitely. Do you know what? It's always the case, isn't it? The youngsters get quicker, and the older you get, the faster you were.
Yeah, exactly. But interesting, talking about faster you were, Speed's still on the front there, and Speed is indeed tapping away still at that steady space. He's been sat at around 5.5 watts per kilo, constantly on this climb, and that gradient is back up to 11% now. So he's had that light relief, and now he's onto the much deeper sections now as it really starts to kick with him.
And as you take a look back behind Speed, you can just see that pillar of yellow from that yellow beacon at the moment. At the on the way up here, Speed just coming up alongside the woodyard at the moment. When he goes up alongside the factories, when we first went to Innsbruck, left-hand side of the road, a little bit further up, there was nothing. Then they felled the trees. Then they built a concrete pad. Then they've steadily built buildings into this. This is over the time it has progressed through the building site and into more of a building.
But
really
without the cement lorries and
without
trucks using the road.
Yeah, without any carbon footprint, they've built a building. It's really smart, really clever. If only it was like that in real life, eh? I don't know. Right. Let's just take a little bit of a look. Those groups together as the status quo maintained. Hutchinson, Wild, Lindley, Hudson and Booker. And then it's Finley Hudson rather than Harry and Russ Downing. Then Murray. He's got a bit of a lonely ride. He's got Russ in front in his sights. Behind him is David Cass. Then it's going to be Tim Wright and Dale Williams with Wayne Bartok. So this is going to become a group of 4, I suspect. Then it's Simon Warren, Ted Tunnicliffe, Simon Oxford and Russell Osman. Then it's going to be Taylor. It's Neil from the Crosscaster. It looks like Mick Hawkins has got company with Greg Pillsworth. Then it's Simon Booth, then Liam Calloway, Goodwin, Woodall, Pearson, Potts, Martin Sharp, Wilson, Chris Ball in there. It looks like Garth continuing to put McDermott doing the same. Clark doing the same. These groups are spread out all the way over the road. Let's have a little bit of a check. Ken Kerrigan along with Ian Bell coming around those hairpin turns. So they're a fair way up this climb already. So motoring their way on at the moment. Jim Flynn is front. It looks like Nick Rukin up here. It's our leader continuing to push on at the front. It is Speed who has the gap, and you can just see the distance really has opened as they come up to the top here. He got that gap on that lower section. He should be able to hold this.
Yeah, he should indeed. But if Downing and Hudson continue with hand slings that are going on behind, you never know what could happen.
No, working as a group going to be pretty key. Interestingly, it looks like Greg Booker losing a touch with the Lindley group here. So Booker has lost touch, and he is going to see Russ coming up on his wheels here.
Well, I'll tell you what, Hutchinson is pushing on the front of that group at the moment, and Hutchinson's got about a 3-second gap now, so there is actually daylight between Hutchinson now and that group. So if he could look over his shoulder, he'd seen the damage he's done by just picking up those watts a little, and now having a gap back to Wild and Lindley.
Well, the gap has opened. It is Hutchinson who is squeezing on here. Remember, they've got to get to the top of the summit. That's where the finish line is today on the Donny Chaingang. Then we have our run into the blue banner to allow our riders to wind down. Speed at the moment is our leading rider. And as you can see, I don't want to miss me building site. None of these buildings used to be here. None of this was here. This was great. Hey, when I was a lad first riding on Innsbruck, this was nought but green fields and cows. It was, I tell thee.
Well, Speed's got 900 metres now to go until he sees the banner that will signify the top of this climb.
Behind him, it's Hutchinson. Hutchinson can see the building site in front, so he's might be a minute behind, but it's not that far on the road because of the gradient here today. But it looks to me like Jake Speed is going to take another mountaintop, hilltop win here today. Yeah. Looking good, isn't he?
He is indeed, and sighting that red banner just now, I bet was absolutely fabulous for Speed. Look at that, there it is, and finally he utilises his feather.
I know, it's like Did you not need it earlier on, buddy?
I'd have
No?
used that on the 12% section.
He clearly didn't need it, saving it for the end there. He's going to come up. He's going to set the fastest time on the mountain today. Let's see what time he's going to put down. It's going to be a very fast marker. He should take the jersey with a ride like this. So through he goes. The win going to Jake Speed 17:09 and takes a KOM. There's quite a lot of people actually on this world today doing events on this world at the moment.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, I had a little check before the event started. There's actually quite a lot of people on here, so doing well to take that jersey overall. So Speed taking the jersey and now heading into that descent. It's going to be Zach Hutchinson going to be the rider in second place. That gap really has opened up to Tom Lindley. 17 seconds now. That is impressive.
Well, smart riding and smart decision making, I think, from Hutchinson. You know, pushing on towards the latter stages of the climb and staying with the group all the way throughout. So really smart riding from Hutchinson.
It is indeed. So well done, Zach. Heading up to the top of the climb and going to make his way in to the finish. And certainly looks like they're going to be second place for Hutchinson. Here he comes, the gantry just coming up as he goes in and through the archway. Second place for Zach today. You get that second fastest time up there at 18:06, another fast time. Then it's going to be Tom Lindley, who's opened the gap on John Wiles. So Lindley's going to get third place as he comes in and through. It's going to be a fourth place for Wild, who makes his way in and through. Then it's going to be Harry Hudson. Hudson is going to be in fifth position. So Hudson in fifth. Then it's going to be Finley Hudson now. Has Finley got the gap?
Well, I don't know about that because I've just seen some orange numbers coming out behind from Russ, and I think our yellow beacon might be wanting to take this, so Hudson's going to have to pick up if he actually wants to stay clear of Downing, because Downing's fire socks are light as he's pushing on those pedals.
Look at this, Finley Hudson is responding. Hudson's picked up the paces well. Downing is behind him. Has Russ got any answer to the youngster? Russ is kicking again, though. Is he going to get him on the line? Has he got the power to roll him? This is going to be incredibly close. We're just in with Russ. Finley's just in front. It's going to come down to the line. Oh! So Finley Hudson just taking that ahead of Russ Downing. Now, Beacon, what a great finish there
That
between
was
those
brilliant.
two. So they're going to go through inside the top 10. They're in what is going to be 7th and 8th places. It's going to be Booker coming through, I think, for 9th place. Just on its way in here. So Booker goes in and through. Then it's going to be Nick Murray. Nick on his way up here. A 7 watts per kilo. I think I nearly saw the 6.8 from Nick as he comes in to the finishing line here today. He's going to take 9th place.
Yeah, and Cass is our next rider who's going to come through here. So not very far behind at all. So Cass just rolling through the line there. Wayne Barr is going to be the next rider behind, with Tunnicliffe behind him not too far. And I think there's going to be a little one up, one down on Tunnicliffe and Rollitt, both coming through side by side at the moment. But there's quite close riders here all together. In fact, 3 riders coming in really close together at the moment.
So Wayne will be our next rider in and through. Let's drop back in with Rollitt along with Wayne Barr and Co. And you can just see Wayne has gone through. Rollitt goes through behind him. Then it's Ted Tunnicliffe. Then it's Dale Williams. Those are those 3 riders. Then it's going to be Simon Warren. Simon again using that feather at the top of the climb.
I know,
Interesting tactic.
it's 4%. We just come up a climb with loads of 10, 11 and 12% segments and dropping the feather on a 4% part.
I think one of the things that's really interesting is when you go up the climb, you don't always know where the top is. And therefore, you sometimes hold on to it and hold on to it and then realise actually you should have used it earlier.
Well, you don't always know when you're going to need it because, you know, you might be finding that you are coming towards the top of the climb and you're actually racing with 2 or 3 other riders, and that power-up could be the bit that you really need. And, you know, how many times do people regularly ride this climb? So like you say, they don't know, or you might not know it's only 1 or 2% at the top. You might think it's 10 or 12%. So we're seeing a bit of a sprint come here, and Osman just taking Oxenham on the line.
Then it's going to be Neil from the Crosscast coming in ahead of Taylor. Then it's going to be Greg Pillsworth. So Lord Greg Pillsworth just ahead of Mick Hawkins. That looks like that was tough. Mr. Warren just having a hard day at the office.
I think it was indeed. That was a tricky climb, wasn't it? It's a long climb. Well, it's a long climb. It's 7.4 kilometres, but it felt like a long climb, however long it was today.
I think there'll be plenty of people deciding to call it day part way up. No such riding for Mick Hawkins. Just going to try and get in here and see Mick coming up to the line. So it's Mick Hawkins, then Simon Booth, then it's going to be Goodwin behind. So through goes Mick Hawkins. He's our next rider in through the line. And I think Simon Booth rolling in and through just ahead of Leon Goodwin. So Leon, the next rider, making his way up to the gantry. He's got 13 seconds on Liam Callaway. So Callaway just chasing on his way in to the finish. Then it's going to be Gary Sharp.
Yeah, and just behind Sharp is Potts and Pearson. They are side by side at the moment, and that is going to be another sprint finish, I think, for today.
Well, Pearson has got a good kick on him. He's waiting at the moment. You can see that Potts has put in the aero power, but he's not moving out. Now, here we go. Here comes the kick. We knew it was going to come. Has he got enough? Potts is answering this. They're coming up side by side.
Look at that, side by side as they're coming to the line. It's Pearson, it's Potts, it's Potts, it's Pearson. Pearson going past Potts, and I think Pearson is going to take that one from Potts in a sprint at the top of the climb.
So Pearson going potty, taking the position as he goes through. They're ahead of Mr. Woodall. So Richie comes through. Good riding by Richie once again.
Yeah,
he goes on to that descent, and it's going to be Martin next.
It is indeed going to be Martin who is coming through. Simon, yep. And very colour coordinated, I would have to say. Pink jersey, pink socks, pink bike.
Red helmet.
Yeah, but you can't have everything, can you, in your Zwift garage?
Well, you can have a try. You have a try. Says the woman on level number gun, don't know what, 50 was a long time ago. So next up is going to be Simon Martin. Simon just ahead of Steve Wilson. So Simon coming through. Steve still riding strongly, despite at the end of the cross season coming. A man who rediscovered his cross racing through riding the Donny Chaingang. There you go. That's a crossover if there ever was one.
It is, isn't it?
I'm loving the chat between two people who've just sprinted out at the top of the climb. So Martin through, then it's going to be Steve Wilson. Behind will be Chris Ball. Chris on his way up here, and Chris, another of our regular riders on the chain gang. Now it's going to be Chris in and through. Sprint unfolding behind.
The sprint is unfolding behind, and Garford is pushing. He's pushing hard from behind, but I don't think he's going to close the gap. I think this is not going to be a successful sprint effort from Garford.
It's not. So Chris Despeo from Rumorg CC goes through ahead of John Garford of the Royal Navy Royal Marine Cycling Association. Those were the 1-2 in that order of that tour sprint there.
And I think behind we've got Main and Gale in exactly the same position. The two riders coming into the finish at the top of this climb together.
So we're going to have Doug Main and Jonathan Gale. So two riders very close together. They've got the gap on Dixonville, who's 9 seconds back as they come up here. So let's see how they go. Yeah, good to see Chris Ball putting in another good ride. Regularly improving on his way through. Now, here we go. Move on the side. Coming as they go up here. So looks like Gale has gone through to the front. Is he going to be able to lead this out? They're going to keep pushing though. Main is coming at some wattage, but he doesn't have quite enough there. So Gale from Main, and then it's going to be Dixon Moore next.
Yeah, but we've got these riders keep coming in 2s and 3s. Matt Forrester is coming behind with Malin as well. And then Dixon, McDermott and Bailey all within seconds of each other, and Clark. This is going to be a thick and fast through the line. So
our Red Beacon keeping the support coming out to our riders as we see Craig Forrester go through. He's just ahead of Paul Mayland going in and through the line. Then it's John Dixon, our next rider from Bolsover District, Ringer on the Chaingang, just ahead of Nick McDermott. Nick continuing to push in and through the line. Then it's going to be Mick Clark.
And as Clark comes through, Bailey is going to be our next rider coming through almost instantly behind. Then we've got Crab and Forbes.
Yeah, so this is Callum on his way up here. Callum making his way up the climb. He's just ahead of, if my memory is right, yep, James Forbes. Jay's a winner on the DCG Gang giveaways before now. Just coming in and through behind. He's got 4 seconds on Neil Moore. Neil's got a big sprint on him, not going to need it today. Got a decent gap, I think 4 seconds back to the man behind. You can see that gap, but nice and big on the way through. It's enough on the way through here, isn't it? So it's going to be a short coming after, and then it's going to be Turner. So you can see James Turner continuing to push. He's ahead of Chris Sadler. Then it's Andy Keyworth. So through they go. Looks like Chris Sadler 15 seconds down, so that's only about 150 metres or so from the line at that rate. He's got 6 seconds on Andy Keyworth, and as we've seen, a few seconds on here is quite a long way.
It is, isn't it? So Sadler is indeed our next rider to come through. Keyworth, the rider behind us. Sadler goes under that banner at the top of the climb. It's great that it's a downhill cool down.
It is indeed. You can just make the most, grab those points on the way through. Andy Keyworth's going to be the next rider going over. Get those drops points. Make sure that you go all the way down to the bottom. Let your avatar just roll its way down. Spin those legs out as Andy Keyworth goes through on those nice lightweight wheels. Then it's going to be Rich Langmead on that Tron bike. So Rich, our next rider, heading for the line. He's got a little bit of a gap there. I think it's 60. Ian, if you hit the ghost button, does the red beacon disappear? The answer to that is you disappear, but the red beacon doesn't.
Oh, that's not... Well, well, who are you meant to be racing against if you're the red beacon?
You could race against anybody, to be honest, because like it's not going to work. The ghost is the most useless thing. Ask Russ. Or if you've got fire socks, ghost is utterly pointless.
Yeah, because the fire sock's still in act.
Yep. It doesn't mute those down. Okay, so it's going to be Ian from the Stellaton, and then the full speed event secret weapon.
Who is absolutely kicking a sprint at the moment for this finish. I think that rider took that climb too easy. Look at the sprint effort coming out at the end there. Yeah,
there were some red numbers coming up there, so well done to our hairy-legged monster on the way up the climb. It's going to be Darren Topless next, somebody who knows actually the mystery rider well.
Yeah, and behind Topless we've got Cannon, then Mason, who will be the next riders through.
So Darren Topless of Sherwood Pines makes his way through. Then it's going to be Steve Cannon, and then it's going to be Marco Berrio. I know another Berrio. We've got somebody called Berrio Cerner on another event that we commentate on.
Ah, we do indeed.
Yeah, the one that's just announced $1 million prize fund for their championships, 8-day championships, and they've announced $1 million prize fund. That is just a scary amount of money.
I know, $500,000 for the men's pot, $500,000 for the women's pot.
Nice prize if you can take it, definitely. It is the prize pot, not the individual prize.
It is indeed the prize pot. It is not the prize for first place overall.
No,
it is well spread throughout the field with multiple categories and multiple stages, etc.
Well done.
I should try and think there what I was actually meant to be saying.
Always good.
I know.
Next up, Bobby Mason, one of the nicest guys in cycling, coming up and through the line. Well done, Bobby. Coming in ahead of Marco Berrio. Berrio just behind him. Then it's going to be Gary Pattison. Pattison ahead of Carl Johnson, Chris Canham, Nick Rudkin, Jim Flynn, Ian Bell and Ken Kerrigan. How sad am I? I know everybody's name.
That's not sad.
I'm not using the app. Well, I am for some, but not most. Not everybody that's left, that's for sure.
No, so Pattison comes up.
All our regulars. Come on, Gary.
Yeah. It's a welcome sight, isn't it, that red banner?
Do you know when this world was first launched, there's a route that does like both climbs and the Innsbruck Ring, and you go in like both directions on it. Absolutely love it. And I did it and rode round it. I was absolutely loving it because it's a really big descent. I literally got off the bike, let the bike roll down the descent, went and grabbed a coffee, got back on the bike just in time as it got to the bottom of the hill.
Only you could actually say your favourite route on Zwift is the one where you get off the bike, go and get a coffee, and then get back on the bike and pedal.
I can get a coffee and an ice cream. Well, I get a coffee, an ice cream, and another coffee on the way down the Alpe d'Huez. I've tried it.
Well, Johnson rolls through the banner as we just drop back in to the next rider coming through.
My nemesis, or whichever way you go up these hills, Chris Gadam says.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, to be honest, Chris, at the moment, that's true. Not been doing very much bike riding whatsoever. Hoping to rectify that, but I have now gone to France twice and ridden my bike once in for 5 weeks. So that hopefully is going to be rectified on the way through. Looking to get some miles in, but we're going to be covering the DCG. I hate it but love Innsbruck. I like the Innsbruck world, I've got to say. So Carl Johnson just going in through on his way over that hump in the road. Gary Pattison in and through, rolling his way down. Chris Canham a little bit further back on the road. So Chris is going to be our next rider coming in towards the finish.
I have to say, this is actually quite like Innsbruck.
It's very like Innsbruck. I've been lucky enough to go through Innsbruck and heading out to the World Championships, actually, that was out there. And that was really interesting. It's very, very similar. And you've driven through there, haven't you?
I have indeed. I've taken teams out to the European Youth Mountain Bike Championships in a couple of years running, and in Austria. That was before it moved to Italy.
Is that when you broke the BMW?
I never broke the BMW. That was one of the team's dads who drove into it whilst we were part way for petrol in a petrol station.
I gave.
So technically, I didn't break it.
I lent the team the
Technically,
BMW.
Mr. Fernie broke it.
Would that be Callum Fernie, super fast rider Fernie?
Yes.
His dad. There you go. Now the truth comes out. There you go. Right. Back to the ride. Big climb, this. I bet it was nice, because the year before you went in the Berlingo, didn't you?
Oh, it was much nicer taking a BMW to Austria than a Citroen Berlingo.
Yeah. Less of an adventure. Less likely to overheat and
Well,
break down.
I did about 30 miles an hour faster the whole way.
Yeah. And the rest.
It made driving the Autobahn right the way through Germany a lot more pleasant.
Yeah. Where's that limit? 145 kph?
Rather than 61 in the Berlingo.
Yeah, that's the one. All right, next up is going to be Chris Canham. Chris coming to the top. Now, Chris, enjoy that downhill. Get those drops in. Good riding, buddy. The last 100 metres rolling by for Chris. He's going to come in just ahead of Nick Rudkin, and you can see Nick on the gang again. And Nick just with a little gap back to Jim Flynn and Ken Kerrigan and Ian Bale. So Hill Conquered for Chris. Interesting, if you do this as a KOM, you only ever go up this way, which I think is dull. You should be able to do it the other way around as well, because I actually like climbing the way.
I was going to say it's steeper the other way around, isn't it? Well, it looks like it's steps. It looks like it's,
they're both steps and they're almost identical, but it just feels better. It's nicer scenery. Okay, Nick Rudkin on his way up the climb, coming through the line. Well done, Nick. Makes his way underneath the banner, and that means we've got a little bit of a gap back to Jim Flynn. So just a little bit of housekeeping to do on the way through. Don't forget, guys, this is Continental February. It means that we are going to be giving away 5 pairs of brand spanking, not available to the public, not launched to the public yet. In fact, the details are embargoed to the point I can't tell you about them. That is how embargoed they are. They will be coming your way. There'll be 5 pairs going out to members. There's also some bottles, some beetles. There's going to be some more of these coming your direction. Not, of course, worn like mine are, because I use mine regularly when I'm riding the bike. And they're going to be coming your way as well. So going to be pairs of bottles, sets of bottles coming out. So you've never not got a bottle to put your OTE in. Continental tyres coming out, brand spanking new tyre, heading your direction, latest generation, latest tech coming out. That's going to be going out as well. We've got to say a massive thank you to Continental for that. Don't forget, of course, all the way through February, Continental are the team who are looking after our riders. Now, let's jump back in and let's see how our riders are doing. Jim on his way up here. Not long till Jim can see the banner, Emma.
No, not at all. And if he continues to pedal just a little bit and looks up across his brow, he will see that little red banner hidden in those trees at the moment. So just about to come round that corner and take the full run into the finish line there.
So Jim Flynn, our next rider, heading for that finish line here today. Jim, another of our regulars on the Donny Chaingang. Great to have Jim on board. Don't forget, of course, if you want to come and join us, make sure you register. You can join a ride for the Donny Chaingang, the DCG. They ride free to join like all of the DCG Donny Chaingangs. But of course, you need to register for the Donny Chaingang 25 hours to 1 hour before the ride. That is the time window. If you are registering for the WOW DCG, if you are one of our Women Only Wednesdays Donny Chaingang riders, you can register any time, but the more of you that register through the system, the more leverage we have to say, look how many riders we've got registered. It helps us. We don't pass your details on to anybody. Jim hopefully will be with us on Tuesday for the Donny Chaingang, and our members, of course, of the DCG gang, well, they don't need to register each ride. They get the link straight to their inbox. Jim hopefully with us on Tuesday. Got a great route lined up on Tuesday. Can't tell you where it's going yet because we haven't told the members. But it's an absolute cracker. So Jim in and through. So let's take a check back on our beacon. Ooh, nicely on the way up here as well, making the way up this climb. We'll put on to the top quarter of the climb now. In Bell with Ken Kerrigan. So let's just do a little bit more housekeeping whilst we watch our riders just over there, just watching Ian. So remember, guys, all the people who are up there, they look after the riders on the DCG gang. They help us put the show on the road. Without the members of the DCG gang, we cannot put the ride on. It's that simple. Russ can't devote time, neither can I, neither can Emma, and the rest of the gang who make the gang work can't do that without your help. So please, guys, do support us if you can. Don't forget, we have the last weeks of February. We have March left on the WOW DCG, on the Donny Chaingang on the Tuesday and Thursday on the Opens like tonight. We're going to run right the way to the end of April. Then there will be a gap for the summer. You know, that time when the sun shines and like there's loads of stuff going on outside and it's absolutely manic. We're going to be out and about then. But don't forget, of course, the plan is for us to come back in the autumn. If you lot want us to, you know, if you don't, do you know what? I could just sit and put my feet up and become a right couch potato. You never know. But none of this is possible without the guys on the gang. And, of course, they're supported by the people that they do support the people who support the sport. 1080, Gritty, OTE, Velaskin, Halo, Nonnas, and, of course, Continental, who are our key supporters this month. Emma, the WOW DCG, we've got the ride running through for a little bit longer. You've got some cracking routes planned without giving the game away too much. Anything in particular you're looking forward to in terms of routes?
I am looking forward to... Actually, I'm quite looking forward to quite a lot of them now that we've put them all in through March and we've made the decisions on where we're going. Some short, fast crit racing to round off with as legs are fresher and we're moving into the spring season as we get towards the end of March. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to our yellow beacons, and we have those all lined up. And I think the last one of the season, the last Wednesday in March, should be absolutely cracking.
It should indeed be a cracker, and it will ring the bell on the end of the WOW DCG.
We will ring the bell on the end of the WOW DCG. You are quite right.
Puns intended. And don't forget, of course, if you know somebody who wants to try and see what it's like, we've got lots of riders who progress, haven't they, from the WOW DCG to the Donny Chaingang. So people like Joe Blackburn, who we've seen on there, people like Izzy Torrey, we've seen Charlotte Coulthard. She's out racing the World Championships this weekend, isn't she?
And you know what? The WOW DCG and the DCG is for everybody, whether you are in the Esports World Champions squad for your country, like Coulthard is indeed, or whether you are there to have a laugh and a giggle about gin and cake, whether you want a social ride, whether you've raced ZRL on the Tuesday night and you need a leg spin and you just want some banter with you while you do it, or whether you absolutely want to make it part and parcel of your training program because you know you're going to get roughly a really hard 20-minute effort.
Indeed, and plenty of people putting out FTP performances on the WOW DCG and on the DCG, and seeing plenty of people putting down some serious pace and getting quicker. And that's that progression that you see is really impressive, isn't it?
The progression is absolutely fantastic, and whether that progression is like Daisy last week, finally achieving a win on the WOW DCG, or whether that was like one of our other riders yesterday, managing to stay in the gang for as longest ever possible, and how long do you stay in before the go?
And got to remember, it is an achievement staying into the go on both the DCG and the WOW DCG. Really is a big achievement, and a lot of people don't manage that, and that's shown in the numbers for sure.
But it is all about progression. I remember the very first Donny Chaingang I rode, I think I stayed in the pack for 24 minutes. And then I stayed in for 27 minutes, and then I remember the first one when I stayed in for 30 minutes. And then eventually I remember being in on a Tuesday night until the go, and then from then on you can do it.
Yep, and that's really important. That progression, fantastic to see. Riders on the way around to obviously picking up skills, riding on the platform as well, and that is all part of the Donny Chaingang, making sure that they get these skills that they need.
Yeah, drafting is one of the biggest skills that you need on Zwift, and knowing the ability to draft and trusting the fact that you are drafting and that you don't have to put the same power out as the person in front of you or the person to the side of you is a key skill, as well as utilising things like momentum and cadence and all of those types of things that you will pick up and learn whilst riding the Donny Chaingang.
Definitely, and great to see just how our riders have improved. Great to watch that. Don't forget the place where all that chat and all of that unwind comes, all the diagnosis on what people have been up to and how they've gone on the Facebook page. Make sure you tag in Donny Chaingang. Don't forget, of course, that those social media tags are important. Russ and Fonzie Downing on Instagram, and of course Downing Cycling, the Donny Chaingang. And of course you can catch up with me, it's Matt Fixer Payne, on Instagram and on Facebook, on Strava, on Zwift as well. Don't forget, of course, you can catch up with Emma. Emma, where can we catch up with you?
You can catch up with me on Instagram at BikingEmma, or you can find me on Facebook, Emma Martin.
So lots of ways to get in touch, and don't hesitate to get those messages in. We're really looking forward to this weekend's World Championships and watching how our DCG and WOW DCG riders get on in the Esports World Championships. That's on Saturday. On Sunday, we're going to be bringing the Sunday Race Club out, more esports cycling, and you need to follow our feed on Full Speed Events to get all of the details on that. Never know, we might find a DCG rider on there one day. And don't forget, of course, we will then be heading hot foot across the channel, and on Tuesday the plan is to come to you live from the old farmhouse studios rather than the old beer cellar studios or the old garage studios. Yes, we do have 3 sets of studios. Yes, we do use all 3. Not all simultaneously at the moment. It's going to happen one of these days. Okay, heading up the climb, the banner I think is going to be in sight. Looks like Ian
welcome
and
sight.
Kate Kerrigan on the way in and looking at that banner as they come into their last 300 or so metres.
Yeah, so, and interestingly, Kerrigan just pushes on those pedals and comes up to the side of Bale and now closes down and just sits on his wheel.
Yep, don't be going on the front. get ready to jump in on the way through. I love the fact that Ian Bale has got a nice red jersey for his red beacon duties, and our riders do think about this.
Colour coordination is absolutely key, isn't it?
That and the ability to pick a picture of a bus.
Oh my goodness me. Do you know, I might have to put a post out, I think, about the red buses, because I was when you randomly scroll through just deliberately to look at red buses, I cannot believe the variation and the photos people have found over the last few years being red bus.
There should be on the Facebook page, maybe somebody wants to do this for us, on the Facebook page, somebody please put on the Facebook page an album with just,
you know what we need? We need
just red buses.
We need a publisher to do a coffee book of Donny Chaingang red bus photos.
I don't know anyone who's written a book about.
On that note, Kerrigan's just pushed on.
Well, no surprises there. Ken Kerrigan taking him on there. Well done, Ken.
And he waves to Bale as Bale goes under the line. There's a thank you.
Love it. Well,
absolute gentleman's agreement there.
Indeed. Well done, Ken, coming in and through the line. Enjoy the run down to the blue banner. And we've got to say a massive, massive thank you to this man, to Ian Bale, another of our great riders, one of our great volunteers as Red Beacon, doing an amazing job of looking after the bus, looking after our riders on the way in and through. And don't forget that it's just not possible without our beacons. They do a cracking job out on the ride. So a big, big thank you to Ian for doing that, and congratulations to Ken. Enjoy the downhill. So just a quick catch up with Emma. Emma, great ride tonight, and Jake Speed speeding off into the distance.
Showing you exactly how it's done. Put the gap in at the bottom, time trial your way to the top, and just tap that consistent pace in. It just paid off for speed tonight.
It did indeed. So we're going to leave Emma to go get ready to start with the prep for the weekend, because it's a busy weekend coming up. So thank you very much, Emma, and we'll catch you soon.
Been an absolute pleasure.
And that just leaves me to say, before we go, make sure you join the gang if you can. Don't forget to get registered. Make sure you follow our feeds for the Sunday races, some cracking racing. Big prizes on offer every week, as well as, of course, that championships, which has got that $1 million prize fund. That's going to be coming on Sunday. The World Championships, though, are on Zwift this Saturday. The men's and the women's, some great racing coming up. Make sure you give it a watch and see the riders in that new World of Scotland. Don't forget, of course, it's new format on there with the 3 races. We will be back on Zwift on Tuesday if it all goes to plan, which it should do. It's all built and ready to go. In theory, it's unplug here, plug back in the other side of the channel. We'll keep our fingers crossed for that. In the meantime, enjoy your bike riding. Keep yourself safe. From Russ, from Emma, from myself, Matt Payne. Stay safe. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.